the focus on reason, the focus on human reason to find those natural laws and fix our social problems. The center of this movement, of course, is going to be in France, and you start talking about the salons there, and you start talking about the philosophes, and you start talking about their thinking. Philosophes, let's talk about those guys for a second. The big ones. I think we're on the next page. No, maybe they're not. So let's talk about them. Let's talk about Montesquieu first. Baron Montesquieu, Spirit of the Laws, 1741.
Ideal government.
Huh?
Trying to find ideal government.
The ideal government, yeah, and the conclusion that he comes to is that the key is checks and balances, separation of powers and checks and balances. England is perfect, isn't it? That's what he sees. England is perfect. It's got a parliament with some powers and a king with some powers, and the two balance each other out. And it works well for the liberty of the people.
Was he 17th century?
No, he's 18th century, 1741.
Okay.
All right, the big name is Voltaire. Okay, and Voltaire is especially big on, when you think of people attacking religious intolerance, Voltaire is going to be big on that. The old regime, he says, has been just terrible with that. Think about all of the religious conflicts that we've had, the wars, the persecutions. You know, we need to crush this religious intolerance, crush the infamous thing. And of course, he is going to be critical of all of those institutions that seem to limit human development and human liberty. Most famous work?
A book.
A book. There you go.
Candide.
Huh?
Candide.
Candide. Candide.
I was going to say Candide. She said it.
Okay, so where do we go from there? How about Diderot?
Encyclopedia.
The encyclopedia, yeah. The big thing he does is to popularize the ideas of the Enlightenment or of the philosophes. All of the philosophes write essays there in his encyclopedia, 28 volumes, translated into all sorts of languages. He says we need to apply human reason. We need to think in a different way. Eliminate faith. Take education out from under control of the church. And learn to live in harmony and peace through using human reason.
What?
No fun in the peace or
No fun in philosophy.
All right, drop down a generation, and of course the last of the philosophes that doesn't quite seem to fit. In fact, he seems almost on the edge of the new ideas. Will be Rousseau, Jean-Jacques Rousseau.
How do you spell his name?
R-O-U-S-S-E-A-U.
What?
J.J. Rousseau. And the thing about Rousseau, the key to Rousseau is always liberty. He thinks the ultimate liberty, the ultimate human freedom. In the social contract, he's got a rather unusual idea, especially when you think that his ultimate desire is complete freedom for people. His idea there of the general will. Okay, the government should be run by the general will, and that would be the will of the majority of the people. And it's going to be it's going to be good. It's going to be positive. I mean, you know, if you take all of those naturally good people and you put them together, then how could it be bad? How could it be abusive? It just couldn't be. So you know, what you have there is that you're going to find your ultimate happiness by putting yourself in compliance with the general will. But if you're still so stubborn that you can't see that, why, we can make you. Rousseau is an interesting character. Again, he approaches the Romantics in a lot of ways. Loves nature. He doesn't like cities. He is going to say that emotions are a part of you, and you know that you should embrace your emotions. Society has forced you to, has shackled you, has forced you to conform, and you know it's robbed you of your genuineness. So the noble savage idea that's going to be embraced by the Romantics is going to be put out there by Rousseau. All right, so let's look at the old regime as we're heading into French Revolution. And to the background of the French Revolution, we're looking at politically, especially in France, an absolute monarchy, with England and the Netherlands being the exception, we said. Economically, we have some industrial development in England, but not a whole lot anywhere else. We still have a basically agrarian society. The commercial aspects, colonial trading companies are going to be pretty big. We have some feudal holdovers in some areas. In Western Europe, we in the 18th century don't really have serfdom, but it's still there in Russia. Yeah, and Poland. Pretty much in application there. Officially, it will be done in 1848. Socially, we still have the rigid class system, the three estates: first estate, the clergy; second estate, the nobility; third estate, the common people, everybody else. And in religion, we have established churches, Catholic or Protestant. Yes.
Can that estate system, does that apply to like all the nations, not just France?
It's not so much in England or the Netherlands, but it's pretty much everywhere else. I mean, you know, you think about what you've got in the third estate in France. You don't have serfs anymore, but you have agricultural peasants. You have the sans-culottes, the city workers, who are poor and living hand to mouth, and then you have the bourgeoisie, which is doing pretty well for itself, but frustrated because of the limitations that they have not having a noble name. Let's throw in one thing here on 18th century religion. Let's throw in deism. Deism. D-E-I-S-M, and we're actually doing that, you know, on both sides here. You look at the top of the next page, and you've got the Enlightenment thinkers. Deism is that very reasonable faith that we arrive at. God, the celestial watchmaker, created the natural laws, created the machine, wound the watch, and then went off to do something else. God the Creator, not God the Redeemer. You find them thinking the miracles. Nah, they don't belong in the Bible. You can't really believe in those, they say. The divinity of Christ, well, no. Voltaire says Jesus is a good fellow, but not the Son of God. You know, that's the new thinking in the 18th century.
Doesn't deism also like advocate like energy is divine? Or is that?
Well, it's just part of God the Creator
Oh.
thing. You could tell that there is an intelligence there. You can see it by looking at nature. The complexity of nature proves that God exists, but you know, does God care about you? Well, not really. He started the whole thing. He created the whole thing, and then he went off to do his own whatever. Yeah.
Giving that guy one star.
Went off to play golf, and that was that.
I'm so funny.
Yeah. All right, so let's sum up what we've got in this 18th century idea. We need to restructure our politics. We need to look at the natural rights that people have. We need to protect those natural rights with some sort of limited